Even when the two sides' power balance became even, the Nationalist Party maintained a strong stance and called on the entire nation to fight back against the Communist Party. The Communist Party also called for a fight back against the Nationalist Party. The Communist Party gained public support by promoting land distribution. They confiscated land from landlords who had cooperated with Japan during the war and distributed it to tenant farmers and ordinary farmers. The scope of this policy gradually expanded to include the confiscation of land from landlords and wealthy farmers who did not cooperate with Japan. The Communist Party was successful in garnering support from relatively poor people such as tenant farmers and agricultural workers. The Communist Party lost support from the wealthy. Even if poor people are given land, it does not necessarily mean that they will actively support the Communist Party. The Communist Party also struggled to gain public support. Many citizens became disappointed with the Nationalist Party's repeated economic policy failures and gradually began to support the Communist Party. The Nationalist Party thought this was dangerous and believed that they had to resolve the dissatisfaction of the poor, so they attempted land reform in some areas. The effort was not completely successful and ended in failure. Within the nationalist government forces, some people began to conclude that the Nationalist Party had suffered a political defeat. Some units began to surrender to the People's Liberation Army without fighting, and the tide of the war clearly shifted in favor of the Communist Party. The nationalist government holds elections to select representatives for the government under the Constitution of the Republic of China. During this election, the Nationalist Party the trust of the people because of widespread irregularities such as bribery, violence, and vote substitutions. Amid this chaos, representatives gathered in Nanjing and elected Chiang Kai-shek as the first president of the Republic of China under the Constitution, with Li Zongren as vice president. The National Constituent Assembly enacted the temporary provisions against the Communist rebellion in response to the intensification of the Civil War. The temporary provisions against the Communist rebellion stated that a civil war with the Communist Party is currently breaking out, parts of the Constitution will be suspended until the rebellion is suppressed, and emergency powers will be concentrated in the hands of the president. Chiang Kai-shek came to hold exceptionally great power under the constitutional system. The civil war between China's two major powers, the Nationalist Party and the Communist Party, had a major impact on the Asian strategies drawn up by the United States and the Soviet Union. The United States initially wanted the nationalist government to act as Asia's policeman. Seeing that the nationalist government was gradually losing ground, the United States decided to shift the focus of its Asian strategy from China to Japan. The Soviet Union watched the situation unfold, carefully determining whether to support the Nationalist Party or the Communist Party. While the Soviet Union maintained neutrality on the surface, it was closely watching the progress of the war. The People's Liberation Army began a large-scale formation. This is the third major war. The first one is the Laotian Campaign. The army led by Lin Biao expanded its power from the northeast to the south, capturing one after another the nationalist government's bases that remained in the northeast. In this battle, the Nationalist Party army of approximately 470,000 was defeated, and the military spending of the Nationalist Party and the Communist Party was reversed. The Communist Party took complete control of northeastern China and seized the initiative in the fighting. The next one is the Weihai Campaign. Deng Xiaoping was in charge of overall operations during this battle in central China. The People's Liberation Army, through careful preparation, annihilated the Nationalist Party army. The third is the Pingjin Campaign. Pingjin refers to Beiping in Tianjin. This was a battle to defeat the remaining Nationalist Party forces in the north. The Nationalist Party forces surrendered in this battle, and Peking was peacefully liberated. Through three major campaigns, the People's Liberation Army dominated northern China, while the Nationalist Party forces were pushed south. With the fall of Nanjing following the fall of Beiping, the outcome of the battle became decisive. The United States withdrew its military advisors, and the Soviet Union began to increase its support for the Communist Party. Responsible for the repeated defeats, Chiang Kai-shek resigned as president. Vice President Li Zongren took over as acting president and sought ways to survive while seeking a compromise with the Communist Party forces. The Nationalist Party forces quickly collapsed against the People's Liberation Army's formation, allowing the PLA to gain control of most of China within about a year. In order to establish a new order in the vast, devastated region, the PLA established military control over each city it occupied. This structure spread throughout the country, with military control committees being established in major cities across the country. The Liberation Army aimed to restore social order, maintain public order, provide relief to the people, and rebuild the economy. The Communist Party then began full-scale preparations to build a new nation. The central event was the holding of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. The conference was attended by prominent intellectuals from all over the country and representatives of various political parties who opposed the Nationalist Party. They adopted a common program. The common program outlined the founding ideals of the new China at a time when the country's systems and laws had not yet been established. From this point on, the People's Political Rising Congress became the temporary organ of power, and the common program came to function as a temporary constitution. Based on this, the creation of a new nation was underway. At this conference, the domestic policy of the new nation was decided. Mao Zedong was elected head of state and Zhou Enlai was appointed head of administration. It was also officially decided that Beiping would be renamed Beijing and become the capital. The new state was defined as a new democracy, a people's democratic state. This is not a bourgeois dictatorship like the United States, nor a proletarian dictatorship like the Soviet Union. This is the third form, a policy that aims to create a country where the Communist Party, Democrats, and independents work together to run the government. Under this philosophy, the new China began with the People's Democratic Oath as the basic system of the nation. The conference also determined the new nation's foreign policy. Its basic principle is to conduct diplomacy that combines principles with flexibility. Principledness is primarily an attitude directed towards Eastern countries. The message was, we will cooperate with a socialist camp centered on the Soviet Union, and we belong to the Eastern Bloc. This was an attempt to alleviate concerns among the Soviet Union and other Eastern countries that China might move closer to the West. Flexibility is an attitude that is primarily directed towards Western countries. It stated that the United States was ready to establish so-called diplomatic relations with any country based on the principles of equality and reciprocity. This was a policy that sought to explore the possibility of improving relations with Western countries, particularly the United States. The new China began to adopt a flexible foreign policy that centered on cooperation with the Soviet Union, but left room for building friendly relations with all countries. On October 1, 1949, a new national flag, the five-star red flag, was unfurled in the sky over Beijing. The large star on a red background represents the Communist Party. The four smaller stars surrounding the larger star represent the workers, peasant intellectuals, classes and patriotic capitalists. The design symbolizes the unity of the Chinese people under the leadership of the Communist Party. Mao Zedong, standing within the siege defense of Tiananmen Square, proclaimed to the world the establishment of a new nation, the People's Republic of China. Here, a nation aiming to realize a new democratic society was officially born.